Today will be a new topic. Mysterious celebrity deaths that are still unexplained. Let's see how celebrities mysteriously died. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Number 1. Barbara Colby, 1939 to 1975. Barbara Colby was perhaps best known for her guest spots on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and its spin-off Phyllis. But in 1975, she and actor James Kiernan were both shot by unknown assailants after an acting class. Colby essentially passed immediately afterwards. Kiernan initially survived the attack, but later died in the hospital from his injuries. There was no indication that they had been robbed, and it was ultimately described as a random homicide. What's more, the guilty parties were never identified. It's particularly terrifying to think that there was no apparent motive for these tragic deaths. Number 2. William Desmond Taylor, 1872 to 1992. During the silent movie era, William Desmond Taylor was a prolific filmmaker with dozens of credits in Hollywood. Bizarre circumstances surrounding his 1922 homicide ultimately made it a cold case. An unknown doctor reportedly examined the body and ruled the death as being from a stomach hemorrhage. By the time experts made it to the home, the physician was no longer present, but they did discover a bullet in the victim's back. Several actors and people within Taylor's circle were considered as suspects, including a valet that was known to steal from him. Due to limited technology and crime scene mismanagement, nobody was formally connected to the death. 3. Peter Ivers, 1946 to 1983. Peter Ivers was a multi-talented artist and musician known for being the host of New Wave Theater. He had many famous connections in the industry and wrote music for films like Eraserhead. In 1983, Ivers was beaten to death at home. The LAPD did not properly manage or close off the crime scene. This led to a slew of evidence being lost or altered due to outside influence. Filmmaker David Jove was considered by some to be one of the possible culprits. He even apparently left the apartment with the musician's bloodied blankets. Unfortunately, no solid case was ever created. 4. Richie Edwards, 1965. Welsh musician Richie Edwards made a name for himself as the songwriter and guitarist for Manic Street Preachers. After 3 albums with the band, Edwards disappeared right before their scheduled U.S. tour in 1995. Authorities found his abandoned car less than a month later with no signs of where he was or where he was going. The vehicle's location and his history of depression pointed towards him taking his own life. In 2008, he was presumed dead after the police failed to find his body. Rumors abound with theories and mysterious sightings that had claimed he was alive and well somewhere, but nobody really knows. 5. Amelia Earhart, 1897. Amelia Earhart was renowned for her work as a pioneering female pilot in the 1930s. The aviator broke the glass ceiling by becoming the first woman to make a non-stop transatlantic flight by herself. But she became even more well-known due to her disappearance in 1937. Her effort to circumnavigate the globe with navigator Fred Noonan ended in mystery. Both were lost in the Pacific Ocean in a probable crash. Though a huge search effort was undertaken, authorities failed to recover the remains or the plane. Earhart's prior accomplishments and celebrity have continued to fuel interest in her vanishing and presumed passing all these years later. Number 6. Elizabeth Short, 1924 to 1947. Elizabeth Short wasn't well known in her lifetime, but that changed following her untimely and highly shocking passing. Indeed, her 1947 homicide led to years of speculation from dozens of real and wannabe detectives. An unknown assailant severely harmed and separated Short at the waist as part of the disturbing crime. She became widely referred to as the Black Dahlia as the case became national news. Taunting local authorities and press, The alleged killer crafted letters and evidence-filled envelopes which puzzled investigators. The gruesome details and intense media circus led to several novels and films inspired by the victim's story. 7. Jill Dando, 1961 to 1999. Jill Dando spent the 1980s and 1990s as a presenter at the BBC for programs such as Breakfast Time and Crime Watch. In 1999, she was murdered outside her home. This prompted a massive investigation from British authorities. Due to reasonable suspicion, local man Barry George was arrested after details of his sordid past came to light. After he was charged with the crime, he went away to prison, but 3 appeal attempts and a second trial later, he was released in 2008. While some still pointed fingers at George and other potential scenarios were considered, the entire process seemingly muddled any hopes of confirming the true killer. 8. Krista Helm, 1949 to 1997. Actress Krista Helm was a 27-year-old Hollywood hopeful that had small roles on shows like Wonder Woman. On an unassuming night in 1977, the performer left a party and drove to the house of Agent Sandy Smith. Helm was stabbed and hidden underneath a car outside the home. She apparently seemed afraid at the event beforehand and had a journal full of information about famous men she had been intimate with. That, combined with the attack's grotesque nature and the apparent struggle that ensued, made the crime appear personal in nature. Decades after the Black Dahlia murder, this killing once again showcased the horrors lurking in the City of Angels. 9. Jam Master Jay, 1965 to 2002. Producer and DJ Jason Mizell helped build Run DMC into hip-hop icons. The artist, known professionally as Jam Master Jay, was killed in 2002 in a New York studio. Further investigations suggested a possible drug connection, with claims that the DJ reportedly tried to repay debts by selling illicit substances. Documentaries attempted to find the missing pieces in subsequent years, but nothing was conclusive. However, Ronald Washington was notably considered an accomplice for many years. He and another man named Carl Jordan Jr. were charged in 2020. With both suspects entering not guilty pleas, questions remain unanswered, and this development will hopefully shed light on sought-after details. 10. Bobby Fuller, 1942 to 1966. Bobby Fuller and his group, the Bobby Fuller Four, rocked the 60s with popular renditions of songs like I Fought the Law, but the frontman's lifeless body was found in a car outside his abode in 1966. People discovered a gas can inside the 23-year-old's vehicle. Initial reports considered that he'd intentionally asphyxiated himself with fumes, while later accounts claimed it was an accident. Considering his recent successes and some timeline inconsistencies, many found it hard to consider the former ruling. Was it the result of Fuller's own hand or foul play? Without substantial evidence to the contrary, there's no definitive answer to that question.